Sean is on. This time I'd like to call the Academic Services and Accountability Committee to order. We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Silver, second by Ms. Washington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carried. CTE Civil Rights Audit, Mr. Thompson.
Good evening, Chair Lamb, committee members, and Dr. Ellis. First of all, please forgive my voice tonight. I'm just a tad under the weather. Tonight, I will present to you components of the CTE Civil Rights Review that Nash County Public Schools will participate in during December. Each year, the North Carolina Department of Instruction selects 3 CTE programs in the state to conduct a civil rights review on due to the CTE program receiving federal funding. The last Nash County Civil Rights Review happened in 2008. We can go ahead and proceed with slides. One more. Thank you. So I wanted to cover some background with you for the CTE Civil Rights Review. First of all, the history behind it is that the methods of administration coordinates monitoring of the civil rights compliance within local PSUs. PSUs is the new name for LEAs that provide CTE programs and receive federal financial assistance. The purpose is for the U.S. Department of Education. They require North Carolina Department of Instruction to conduct site visits as a part of MOA process. Some laws that are covered under the CTE Civil Rights Review include Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title IX of the Educational Amendments Act of 1972, which includes prohibits of discrimination on the basis of sex. Title VI, which was the first one, prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of a disability. And then guidelines for eliminating discrimination and denial of services on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, and handicap. Okay. The other laws that are covered under the CTE Civil Rights Review include Title II, which is also known as ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, which prohibits disability discrimination by public entities, whether or not they receive federal financial assistance or not. Age Discrimination of Act of 1975, which prohibits discrimination based on age in programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance. The process that will be used for our CTE Civil Rights Review includes notification of the Civil Rights Review, which this has already happened. A letter was sent to Dr. Ellis and myself. And during that was a notification that we will have a Civil Rights Review this year. Next, DPI led a Civil Rights Orientation with the PSU. There, they explained the Civil Rights Review process, discuss review timeline, and program and facilities review. They will conduct the Civil Rights Review, and then once they conduct the Civil Rights Review, they will then submit a letter of findings to the district. To continue with the process, the PSU will then, once that letter is sent, submit a voluntary compliance plan for areas that have not met compliance. And then lastly, the Civil Rights Coordinator in the district will monitor the Career and Technical Education and work with the Career and Technical Education Director to ensure that these compliances are happening. So I wanted to cover for you a few things that we have mentioned in that process. So the first one is the background of previous civil rights. They will look briefly at this to see where we were the last time we had a civil rights review. They will mainly focus on the pre-review documentation, which includes the current data, including enrollment data, pathways, courses, and personnel that we offer and employ in the district. The program review, they will look at the overall program, marketing of the program, and how much access does all our subgroups have with our CTE programs. And I must make a note here, it's not only CTE programs, but it also will include, it can include honors classes, it can include AP classes, and also IB classes. Then there will be a facilities review. Here, we will be concentrating on 4 schools: Nash Central High School, Northern Nash High School, Rocky Mount High School, and Southern Nash High School. These schools have been chosen because they have a full CTE comprehensive plan, or program. Now, during the facilities review, the team will look at labs for compliance and for accessibility, classrooms, restrooms, hallways, parking, signage within the building and outside of the building in the parking lots, and how much handicap access we have within those buildings. I will say during this facility review, they will gauge it off of the how old the buildings are and what code was in place at that time that the buildings were built. Interviews, they will interview school personnel, principals, central office personnel, students, and counselors. And then lastly, just as I said earlier, they will then submit a letter of findings once they have completed the civil rights review in December. One more. So to talk you through the timeline. So as I said earlier, September the 10th was our civil rights orientation that was completed through NCDPI. We have already submitted the pre-review documents that include this year's data, the 21-22 data to DPI. Our next stretch will be on December the 7th through the 8th. This will actually be our start of our review here in the district. The civil rights program review will happen on December the 7th through the 8th. Then December the 9th through the 10th, the team will go into the 4 schools that I had mentioned: Nash Central High School, Northern Nash High School, Rocky Mount, and Southern Nash, to complete the facilities review. December the 13th or the 20th, the team will conduct central office interviews. And then by February of 2022, DPI will submit a letter of findings to the district. And then lastly, by April of 2022, Nash County will submit a voluntary compliance plan on any areas that we were not in compliance. So I will open it up now for any questions.
Chad, please tell me how large the teams are that will be doing the interviews. And did I see 2008? Is that the last time we had the interview? I mean,
That's correct.
Yes, sir. What they do
how so
is
long ago?
because they try to cover every school in the state, and so they have to move around the state. So this is when our time came back up in Nash County.
So it's been 12 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. How long is the team, Chad? I know you answered that before.
I'm having a tough time hearing you, Mr. Silver. I
How
apologize.
large is the team that will be coming?
How large is the team? The team is,
Right.
thank you. The team will be from 5 to 6, maybe 7 folks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thompson, you noted that they'll be considering the findings from the last review. What were those, and have any concerns from the last review been addressed?
So yes, so most of the ones from the last review were some facilities pieces, and so yes, they have been addressed. And so what we're doing right now, we're in the process of looking through all those findings and ensuring that we know exactly everything. And so that we, number one, will ensure that all of that's in compliance, because we want to ensure that's there. But so that's what they will look at there. Most of it, once again, was like facility type things. And I can get you specifics on that if you would like that, Ms. Washington. So I can outline it for you if you would like to see that.
I would like to see it, Mr. Thompson, just for a point of reference. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thompson, at this point, based upon what you've done and been a part of, what do you think are the problems that we should address or be most concerned with?
So, Mr. Silver,
can they be rectified?
Yeah. So, Mr. Silver, what we have done is every team that we feel like that their team will touch, we have been in contact with and already had meetings. For instance, we've met with Shannon, we met with the EC department, and we're having continuous conversations and meetings. Probably facilities piece is going to be something that you just can't get around some of it. But we are really trying our best to ensure everything like signage is up. We're trying to include that, just as we mentioned with handicap, those types of things. We are really trying to, with the ADA piece, you have to look at sidewalks, you have to look at access into classrooms and labs and through hallways, and believe it or not, even access, for instance, if a student is using a sink in a bathroom, they will be measuring heights and things like that. So we're looking at all of those things. So it's a large undertaking, and it's taken the whole village to do this. So
you're not nervous about anything at this point,
Well,
seriously? So
I'm not here. We get the opportunity, luckily, in the second week in November to go down to another district and participate on their team, on their review. So we get a firsthand look at what it really looks like, a review. And so that's going to give us a lot of knowledge, and it still gives us about a month out so that we can, if there's something that we're not addressing, we can correct it at that point.
So when you go to this other district, when they come visit us, will another district come with them to see what we've done as the same benefit for them?
Yes, sir, that's possible. And some even when I talk with our DPI representatives, some even like to come after the fact so they can see they've had the review, but they can also see how it compares. So yes, other folks from districts can participate on the team.
That's good. Thank you so much.
I have a question. So we know that like COVID has impacted everything else. Do we know of any implications, any considerations, anything that we need to consider or maybe taken into consideration because of COVID restrictions or just issues with supplies and all those different things coming into play? So where are we standing with that?
So Ms. Bullock, that's a great question. That's one of the things that we have been pondering around as well. And we're talking with Shannon, who is actually our representative from DPI, about that, as far as, is there anything with, as far as if things were offered or if the marketing for some programs, we couldn't market as well because of COVID sometimes and those types of things, and see if they have any factor in it. She at this point has not given a clear answer on that, but we're looking to get an answer before we get close to our date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from Mr. Thompson this time? Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That was
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Real quick, Chair, you still there?
Yes, sir.
My question would be a simple one. I think Mr. Silver alluded to the last time this audit was done in 20 when?
It's 2008.
2008.
So do we do any, that's 16, 17, well, whatever. Have we done any internal audits to prep for these things? Just because there's no actual audits, do we do internal audits, or have we looked at that, or is this just something that we didn't know was coming?
No, sir. Yes, sir. We do it in our processes, and what I mean by that is we have to constantly look like at EC services and
Right.
things like that through special populations in CTE. So
Right.
we handle it that way. Now, per
Yes,
se,
sir.
if we put together a whole team and did those things, we haven't done that yet. But we are internally working those processes constantly.
And I think I asked that question to sort of answer Mr. Silver's question. While it's been an extended period of time, if we've been on our P's and Q's, we shouldn't be looking or anticipating any major concerns, maybe some minors, but no major.
Our plan is not to have any major concerns, Mr. Sharp. That is the plan, and we're trying to dot every I and cross every T before December gets here, and to ensure that we have covered everything through our processes.
And I guess I'm saying we've been doing it all along, I would assume.
Yes, sir. We have been going through and doing the things that have been asked here. Now, with some facilities things, those are some things that we'll just have to see where, we're doing tours and so forth of schools, trying to look at the various things that she had mentioned in the orientation. And so those are the things that we're really honing in on pretty hard right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Thompson? Are there any board members have any questions or any concerns that need to be brought up at this time? I know some of us have been contacted about looking at November 12th.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think you probably going to allude to it. I was going to talk to that November 12th, but are you going to talk to it? I'll let you have that discussion.
Excuse me, Mr. Sharp, what'd you say?
Yeah, you said any other comment or any other remarks. I would just want to talk to that November 12th date. But I heard you was going to say it too, so I'll let you just talk to it. I was going to make a recommendation, but you're probably going to do it yourself.
Yeah, we were going to try to add it to the agenda, but the agenda was formulated and we didn't get it in time to add to the agenda, but I'd like to ask the superintendent to check in November 12th and see if we can use that for Wellness Day. So
Right.
the entire board can vote and it'll be on the agenda for November 1st meeting, and we will carry out a vote then.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to ask.
November
So thank you.
Anybody have any objections to that?
None. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I think our folks have been doing a phenomenal job, and I think, as you have alluded to, we've seen it across the state and other districts are doing that. I sort of commend that. I would make that suggestion or motion or recommendation. If you want to take it into a motion, I'll make that motion. They have the superintendent to do the investigation report out on the November 1st.
Well,
Meeting.
we've asked him to do that, and I think it's gonna be on the agenda. I know it's gonna be on the agenda for November 1st, so we will vote as the entire board. But I wanted to get the input, since we've got a majority of the board members present at this meeting, to see if he has permission to pursue that.
So
granted.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments at this time? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Silver, second by Ms. Washington. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.